still be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
a mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South Suburban
self-proclaimed Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard has finally surrendered after an explosive FBI raid unraveled her tangled web of corruption. For years, she lived like a queen while her town crumbled under financial devastation. Her extravagant lifestyle, bankrolled by taxpayer money, has now come crashing down, and she's staring at a possible 25-year prison sentence. Her downfall is inevitable, and this scandal is about to shake everything to its core. Once hailed as the untouchable Henyard, she now faces 22 federal charges, including accusations of embezzlement and the blatant concealment of millions in public funds. The FBI had been watching her for months, and after gathering enough evidence through subpoenas and quiet investigations, they finally made their move. But this isn't her first brush with the law. She previously landed behind bars for vehicle trespassing. Now, however, she's up against a mountain of charges that could lock her away for good. And just wait until you hear how Tiffany Henyard splurged taxpayer dollars on a personal shopping spree, flaunting her power by cruising around in a publicly funded luxury motorcade, treating the town like her personal playground. How does a small, struggling town suddenly drown in debt while its mayor thrives? We're talking about a small-town leader with big city dreams and an even bigger appetite for luxury. Picture this. On September 1, 2023, she dropped a jaw-dropping $7,700 and on a spending spree at Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair. This wasn't just shopping. It was a full-blown financial heist. Meanwhile, hard-working Dolton residents were barely scraping by, while their tax dollars footed the bill for Henyard's lavish spending. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Flying coach like an ordinary person? Not for Henyard. Instead, she demanded first-class treatment and even hired professional stylists for hair and makeup because apparently, running a town into the ground requires looking flawless. In just 1 year, her administration blew through over $112,000 in travel expenses, draining Dolton's once healthy $5.06 million surplus and sinking the town into a staggering $36 million deficit. The town's finances collapsed faster than a losing game show contestant. But it wasn't just about pampering herself, she extended the perks to her inner circle. If you thought the shopping spree was outrageous, brace yourself. Dolton residents questioned why police were rarely seen patrolling the city, only to discover that officers were reassigned to act as Henyard's personal security detail, running errands and escorting her like a VIP. And get this, her mother's driveway alone was repaved at a shocking cost of $561,000 and over $500,000 for a single driveway. But Henyard's generosity didn't end there. Instead of protecting the town, officers were essentially turned into her private bodyguards. The so-called super mayor has finally been dethroned, and her era of excess and corruption is crashing down, leaving Dolton's residents to deal with the financial wreckage she left behind. And it all unraveled thanks to a former police chief who refused to stay silent, spilling every dirty secret and exposing the truth once and for all.
The doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed. For how long? Neither residents nor
Mayor Tiffany Henyard's tenure has been rocked by shocking allegations of misconduct and taxpayer fraud, with the latest revelations painting a disturbing picture of her time in office. Even after having her credit card privileges revoked, Henyard went ahead and threw a lavish $55,000 in town party, featuring performances from Wyatt and Jay Holiday, who were paid $30,000 and $20,000 and for their 30-minute sets. But that wasn't all. She poured another $36,000 into a sound system, staff equipment, comedians, and even bouncy houses that alone cost $6,600, and all for an event attended by just 70 people. Furious residents haven't stayed silent. Jennifer Roberts openly condemned the reckless spending of taxpayer money, while former trustee Valerie Stubbs slammed the event as nothing more than a wasteful self-promotion stunt. Henyard's blatant disregard for fiscal responsibility has only deepened public distrust, with both taxpayers and federal investigators keeping a close watch on her every move. But the real bombshell came from her former ally and once trusted right-hand woman, Carmen Carlisle. For 2 years, Carlisle had a front-row seat to what she described as Henyard's blatant misuse of Dolton's funds, alleging that the mayor treated the town's budget like her own personal bank account. Initially silent, Carlisle ultimately became the key whistleblower, turning over a trove of receipts to federal authorities and exposing the corruption she had witnessed firsthand. Her testimony has sent shockwaves through Dolton, revealing the extravagant ways in which Henyard allegedly funneled public funds into self-serving ventures. Critics like Stubbs have pointed out the staggering disconnect between Henyard's reckless spending and the minimal community turnout, leaving residents demanding justice. But despite mounting criticism, Henyard refuses to back down, an approach some believe will only escalate this already explosive scandal. With the FBI's investigation now bolstered by Carlisle's inside knowledge, Henyard finds herself in the direct line of fire as Dolton residents struggle with the aftermath of what many see as a blatant betrayal of public trust. The saga of Mayor Tiffany Henyard's downfall took an even more dramatic turn when the FBI, armed with subpoenas and determined to track down every misused dollar, descended upon Dolton Town Hall. This wasn't just a routine inquiry. It was a full-scale federal crackdown aimed at exposing the lavish empire she had built on taxpayer money. From extravagant trips to a taxpayer-funded security detail shadowing her like she was Hollywood royalty, investigators left no stone unturned in their pursuit of the truth. As federal authorities dig deeper into her financial dealings, alleged misuse of public funds, and even the charities she proudly flaunted, every aspect of Tiffany Henyard's commercial ventures and campaign finances is under the microscope. Investigators are peeling back the layers of a tangled web, including her former ally Freeman Henyard, whose financial transactions are now facing intense scrutiny as well. For years, the people of Dolton have demanded transparency, questioning unexplained expenses and dubious decisions. Activists like Brittany Norwood have been relentless in amplifying residents' frustration, calling out an administration that allowed their town to deteriorate under Henyard's leadership. To them, the FBI's intervention is not just welcome, it's long overdue. And yet, many are left wondering, why has justice been so slow, despite the mountain of evidence and public outcry? Shockingly, Henyard still remains in office, projecting an air of normalcy, even as federal agents reportedly use advanced surveillance techniques to monitor her and her political network. The scale of the FBI's probe has sent shockwaves through Dolton, with speculation mounting that others within her circle could soon face similar scrutiny. For residents who have seen their town teeter on financial collapse, the contrast between the overwhelming allegations and Henyard's continued defiance is nothing short of infuriating. It's a bizarre scene, Henyard acting like a reality TV star while her administration crumbles around her. But then, the unexpected happened. In a twist no one saw coming, Henyard stunned the town by voluntarily surrendering to the FBI. One moment, she was carrying on, as if nothing was amiss. The next, she was stepping into federal custody, trading in her carefully curated image of power and luxury for the harsh reality of an inmate's jumpsuit. Speculation ran wild. Why would Henyard, who once thrived on control, suddenly give it all up? Many believe she is negotiating a deal with federal prosecutors, perhaps ready to expose others involved in exchange for a lighter sentence. Whatever the reason, her surrender marks a pivotal moment, not only for her but for Dolton as a whole. The woman who once embodied wealth and influence, flying first class, surrounded by personal stylists, now faces a grim new reality behind bars. Reports suggest that her financial empire has crumbled so badly that she can no longer afford her legal defense, forcing her lawyer to abandon her case. Henyard's rapid rise to power, now steeped in controversy, appears to have been built on a foundation of influence and financial mismanagement. This wasn't an overnight scandal, it was years in the making, with Henyard allegedly leveraging her position for personal gain while neglecting the very communities she was sworn to serve. As more damning evidence emerges about misused public funds and shady financial dealings within her administration, Dolton's residents are left to face the painful reality of the damage her leadership has caused. While her surrender offers a glimmer of hope for accountability, it is merely the first step in a long journey to rebuild trust and repair a town brought to its knees by corruption. For a mayor who once exuded dominance and control, her downfall stands as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked power, leaving Dolton to pick up the pieces and fight for a future free from scandal. Tiffany Henyard's fall from grace is not just a personal reckoning. It's the unraveling of a regime built on deception, manipulation, and financial abuse. Upon securing her supervisor title, along with an inflated salary, Tiffany Henyard wasted no time in tightening her grip on power. One of her first controversial moves was pushing through an ordinance that slashed her successor's salary to just $25,000, and a clear attempt to deter challengers and cement her control. This blatant power play reflected the iron-fisted rule she exercised over Dolton for years, igniting outrage and prompting residents to demand justice. As Dolton's financial crisis spiraled out of control, with nearly $20 million in debt and millions mysteriously unaccounted for, desperate town officials turned to former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, hiring her at a staggering $400 per hour to clean up the mess. This drastic measure underscored just how dire the situation had become, with the town teetering on the edge of financial collapse due to Henyard's reckless spending and disregard for accountability. Among her most jaw-dropping indulgences was reportedly blowing $440,000, and in a single day on Amazon, an emblem of the unchecked financial chaos that now has both state and federal investigators closing in. The Illinois State Comptroller intervened, halting a critical $135,000 in payment meant to keep the town afloat, leaving residents frustrated and uncertain about the future. Even Henyard's resignation and surrender to federal authorities have done little to ease the burden, as the financial devastation she left behind continues to haunt the community. Adding to the growing list of allegations, former employees have stepped forward with their own disturbing claims, including lawsuits over wrongful terminations and retaliation against those who refused to participate in questionable schemes. One such case involves Boone Trish, who is suing Henyard, further deepening her legal troubles. But the financial scandals are only one piece of the puzzle. Henyard's administration has also been rocked by accusations of sexual misconduct during city visits, claims of assault against staff members, and reports of intimidation against anyone who dared to challenge her authority. Once seen as untouchable, her carefully crafted image has now been shattered, exposing an administration rife with corruption and abuse. For Dolton's residents, the sight of Henyard in handcuffs brings a sense of long-awaited relief, a symbol of reclaiming their town from what many describe as an era of destruction. However, her sudden surrender has raised just as many questions as it has answered. Speculation is swirling. Could she be maneuvering for a deal with prosecutors? Is she shielding other key players in her alleged schemes? The fact that she remains in office, despite facing criminal charges, has only fueled suspicions about the integrity of the system, leaving many wondering how someone with such a staggering list of allegations could still hold power. Her continued defiance and refusal to step down suggest that the fight for accountability is far from over. While Henyard's downfall offers a glimpse of hope, it also highlights the difficult road ahead as Dolton works to recover from years of financial mismanagement and betrayal of public trust. The path to restoration will be long and complex, untangling the fiscal wreckage, addressing the emotional toll of her alleged misconduct, and rebuilding faith in local leadership. For a town that has endured so much, from unchecked spending to deep-seated corruption, the possibility of turning the page brings renewed optimism. As the legal battle unfolds and the full extent of the truth emerges, Dolton's residents are beginning to see a way forward, one that prioritizes transparency, accountability, and real leadership. Henyard's fall from grace, while a major turning point, is just the beginning of Dolton's fight to rebuild and reclaim its future. The question now is whether the town can seize this moment to forge a stronger, more united community as the scandal that once consumed it starts to fade into history. Tiffany Henyard's influence extended far beyond her official position, consolidating power in ways that left Dolton reeling. Upon inheriting her supervisor title, along with a hefty salary, she wasted no time in securing her dominance. One of her most controversial early moves was enacting an ordinance that slashed her successor's pay to a mere $225,000, and a decision widely viewed as a strategic maneuver to discourage challengers and tighten her grip on control. This brazen power play epitomized the stranglehold she maintained over Dolton for years, sparking public outrage and pushing residents to rally for justice. As the town's financial crisis deepened, burdened with nearly $20 million in debt and millions unaccounted for, desperate officials turned to former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, hiring her at an eye-watering $400 per hour to untangle the fiscal disaster. This drastic measure highlighted the severity of Dolton's predicament, a town teetering on the brink of collapse due to Henyard's reckless spending and blatant disregard for accountability. Among her most shocking financial transgressions was reportedly spending a staggering $440,000 and in a single day on Amazon, a glaring example of the unchecked mismanagement that now has both federal and state investigators closing in. The Illinois State Comptroller intervened, halting a crucial $35,000 in payment the town desperately needed, further compounding Dolton's struggles. Yet, even Henyard's resignation and dramatic surrender to federal authorities have failed to bring immediate relief, as the financial devastation she left behind continues to cast a long shadow over the town. Adding to the turmoil, former employees have stepped forward with damning allegations, filing lawsuits over wrongful terminations and retaliation for refusing to participate in questionable dealings. One such lawsuit, filed by Boone Trish, underscores the mounting legal and ethical challenges Henyard now faces. But beyond financial misdeeds, her administration has also been plagued by accusations of sexual misconduct, claims of assault against staff members, and reports of intimidation against anyone who dared to challenge her authority. Once seen as untouchable, her carefully curated public image has crumbled, revealing an administration steeped in corruption and abuse of power. For Dolton's residents, seeing Henyard in handcuffs represents long-awaited justice, a symbol of reclaiming their town after years of misrule. However, her sudden surrender has raised as many questions as answers. Speculation runs rampant. Could she be seeking a plea deal? Is she protecting more powerful figures in her network? The fact that she remains in office despite a mountain of criminal allegations has only fueled public distrust, with many questioning how someone under such intense scrutiny can still wield authority. Her continued defiance and refusal to relinquish power suggest that the battle for accountability is far from over. While her downfall signals hope, it also highlights the long and arduous road ahead as Dolton works to heal from years of financial destruction and eroded trust. The path to recovery will be neither quick nor easy. Residents must navigate the wreckage of mismanagement, address the emotional toll of her administration's failures, and restore faith in local governance. For a town that has endured so much, from unchecked spending to widespread corruption, the prospect of turning the page brings a renewed sense of optimism. As legal proceedings unfold and the full truth emerges, Dolton's residents are beginning to glimpse a path forward, one built on transparency, accountability, and real leadership. Henyard's fall from grace, while a defining moment, is just the beginning of Dolton's effort to rebuild and reclaim its future. The true test now lies in whether the town can seize this moment to forge a stronger, more united community as the scandal that once engulfed it fades into history.